जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। निताय गौर हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल। निताय गौर हरि बोल। जय जय प्रभुपाद, प्रभुपाद, प्रभुपाद। जय जय प्रभुपाद। His Divine Grace AC Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, so Hare Krishna everyone. Before we start with the verse today, we'll recite prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Today we are gonna read verse 52 from chapter 2 Bhagavad Gita. Again, chapter 2 verse 52. Okay, I will bring the verse on the screen so we all can see. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, so we'll recite the shloka. Yada te moha kalilam
यदा ते
मोहकलिलं
बुद्धिर्व्यतितरिष्यति
बुद्धिर्व्यतितरिष्यति
तदा गन्तासि निर्वेदम्।
तदा गन्तासि निर्वेदम्।
श्रुतोऽव्यस्य श्रुतस्य च
श्रोतव्यस्य श्रुतस्य च
यदा ते मोहकलिलम्
यदा ते मोहकलिलं
बुद्धिर्व्यतितरिष्यति
बुद्धिर्व्यतितरिष्यति
तदा गन्तासि निर्वेदम्।
तदा गन्तासि निर्वेदम्।
श्रोतव्यस्य श्रुतस्य च
श्रोतव्यस्य श्रुतस्य च
यदा ते मोहकलिलम्
यदा ते मोहकलिलं
बुद्धिर्व्यतितरिष्यति
बुद्धिर्व्यतितरिष्यति
तदा गन्तासि निर्वेदम्
तदा गन्तासि निर्वेदम्
श्रोतव्यस्य श्रुतस्य च
श्रोतव्यस्य श्रुतस्य च
Anyone would like to recite? Please proceed. Sorry.
यदा ते मोहकलिलं
यदा
मोहकलिलम्
बुद्धिर्व्यतितरिष्यति
बुद्धिर्व्यतितरिष्यति
तदा गन्तासि निर्वेदम्
तदा
तदा गन्तासि निर्वेदम्
श्रोतव्यस्य श्रुतस्य च
श्रोतव्यस्य श्रुतस्य च
यदा ते मोहकलिलम्
यदा ते मोहकलिलं
बुद्धिर्व्यतितरिष्यति
बुद्धिर्व्यतितरिष्यति
तदा गन्तासि निर्वेदम्
तदा गन्तासि निर्वेदम्
श्रोतवस्य श्रुतस्य च
श्रोतव्यस्य श्रुतस्य च
तदा ते मोहकलिलं
यदा ते मोहकलिलं
बुद्धिर्व्यतितरिष्यति
बुद्धिर्व्यतितरिष्यति
तदा
गन्तासि निर्वेदम्
गन्तासि निर्वेदम्
श्रोतव्यस्य श्रुतस्य च
श्रोतव्यस्य श्रुतस्य च
यदा ते मोहकलिलाम्
यदा ते मोहकलिलं
कलिलं
बुद्धिर्व्यतितरिष्यति
बुद्धिर्व्यतितरिष्यति
तदा गन्तासि निर्वेदम्
तदा
गन्तासि
गन्तासि
निर्वेदम्
श्रोतव्यस्य श्रुतस्य च
श्रोतव्यस्य श्रुतस्य च
श्रुतस्य च Okay. Anyone else? All right. Then we can read synonyms. Yada,
यदा
यदा
when,
when
te,
they
your,
your
moha,
moha
of illusion,
of
illusion
kalilam,
illusion,
dense forest,
dense forest,
buddhihi,
buddhi,
transcendental service with intelligence,
transcendental service with
service
intelligence,
with intelligence.
vyatitarishati,
vyatitarishati,
surpasses,
surpasses,
tada,
tada,
Tada
at that time,
at that
at
time,
that time.
ganta asi,
ganta ashi,
Ganta asi,
you shall go,
you
you
shall
shall
go,
go,
nirvedam,
nirvedam,
callousness,
callousness,
shrotavyasya,
श्रोतव्यस्य
toward all that is to be heard,
toward all that is
all
to be
that
heard,
is to be heard.
shrutasya,
Shrutasya,
all that is already heard,
all
all
that is
All that
already
is
heard,
already heard.
cha,
cha,
also.
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 Okay. So I will read now translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. When your intelligence has passed out of the dense forest of delusion, you shall become indifferent to all that has been heard and all that is to be heard. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. There are many good examples in the lives of the great devotees of the Lord, of those who became indifferent to the rituals of the Vedas simply by devotional service to the Lord. When a person factually understands Krishna and his relationship with Krishna, he naturally becomes completely indifferent to the rituals of fruitive activities. Even though an experienced Brahman, Sri Madhavendra Puri, a great devotee and Acharya in the line of the devotees, says, Sandhyavadana bhadram astu bhavato bho snanatobhyam namo भो देवा पितरश्च तर्पण विधौ नाहं क्षमः क्षम्यताम् यत्र क्वापि निसद्य यादव कुलोत्तमस् कुलोत्तमस्य कंसद्विषा स्मारं स्मारम् अगं हरामि तद् अलं मन्ये किम् अन्येन मे. O my prayers, 3 times a day, all glory to you. O bathing, I offer my obeisances unto you. O demigods, O forefathers, please excuse me for my inability to offer you my respects. Now, wherever I sit, I can remember the great descendants of the Yadu dynasty, Krishna, the enemy of Kams, and thereby I can free myself from all sinful bondage. I think this is sufficient for me. The Vedic rites and rituals are imperative for neophytes, comprehending all kinds of prayer 3 times a day, taking a bath early in the morning, offering respects to the forefathers, etc. But when one is fully in Krishna consciousness and is engaged in his transcendental loving service, one becomes indifferent to all these regulative principles because he has already attained perfection. If one can reach the platform of understanding by service to the Supreme Lord Krishna, he has no longer to execute different types of penances and sacrifices as recommended in revealed scriptures. And similarly, if one has not understood that the purpose of the Vedas is to reach Krishna and simply engages in the rituals, etc., then he is uselessly wasting time in such engagements. Persons in Krishna consciousness transcend the limit of Shabda Brahma or the range of the Vedas and Upanishads. Okay, uh, I will read translation again. When your intelligence has passed out of the dense forest of delusion, you shall become indifferent to all that has been heard and all that is to be heard. Hare Krishna. In this particular verse, Arjun, Bhagavan Sri Krishna is talking about the forest of delusion. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada providing ways how to get out of that forest of delusion. Now, this verse 52, but 2 verses before, that is 50 and 51, wherein Bhagavan Krishna is explaining about Buddhi Yoga. So Buddhi means intelligence, and Buddhi Yoga is the way Srila Prabhupada has explained is using intelligence like, and is performing devotional service. So Buddhi Yoga is nothing but performing devotional service to Krishna, that is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, when after that, in this verse, Krishna Bhagavan is now talking about the dense forest of delusion. And that is something very interesting and very important for us to understand. Now, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada starts with examples in the lives of great devotees of the Lord, of those who became indifferent to the rituals of the Vedas simply by devotional service to the Lord. Now, here the word indifferent is very important. Now, indifferent in the verse, if we go back, we see the word is nirvedam. Now, the word nirvedam, or say English word indifferent, also has a negative connotation too. So indifferent means in English, like, I don't care, or that is not really concerning to me. Now here we need to understand what that indifference means in the context of Krishna consciousness, and how this nirvedam is really going to help in our spiritual advancement. So the first line where Prabhupada mentioned there are many good examples, and Prabhupada here he mentioned the example of Sri Madhavendra Puri. But let's first look at the first line, where in the lives of great devotees of the Lord, right, those devotees who became indifferent to the rituals of the Vedas simply by devotional service. Now, in this chapter, second chapter, I think around 10 verses or maybe few verses before, Krishna talk about Vedas, where Krishna Bhagavan mentioned that men with the less intelligence, right, they get attracted to the Vedas. Now, in the Vedas, if we go a little bit one level down, there are three, I would say, primary sections of primary section. One is Karma Kanda, second one is Jnana Kanda, and the third one is Upasana Kanda. Now, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, I'm going to share that here so we can all see. So, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, where these three different parts are explained, and what is important, that is also explained by Srila Prabhupada. Now, I thought this is important because sometimes we say Vedas, but when we go one level down, then we get a little bit more details. So here it says, in Vedas, there are three kandas: Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, and Upasana Kanda. We heard this term many times during the lectures too. So we'll see now here. So what Karma Kanda means, it stresses the execution of fruitive activities. And those are the activities typically a general, say, karmi person or anybody get attracted to, because those are the activities when you perform, you expect a result back. So that fall under Karma Kanda portion. Okay. Now the second portion is the Jnana Kanda, where it says a speculative knowledge. So speculative knowledge about whom? About the truth. I think in one of our lecture, I don't remember, but the same topic came, that about Vedas. The Vedas do refer about truth, but it doesn't give a clear idea of exactly what that truth is about. And that gives a room for people to start speculating. Jnana Kanda. And the third one is Upasana Kanda, which also says a Bhakti Kanda. Now, in this particular verse in Madhya Lila 9.263, where Prabhupada clearly says that one should abandon this both Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda, and we should accept only Upasana Kanda. So when we always hear about, okay, now Vedas exist, and Vedas, usually we always say Vedas is a karma kanda, but if you go one level down, these are the three different kandas. And here Prabhupada, and in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is clearly said that we should accept only Bhakti Kanda. Now, let's read this. So, one cannot attain the love of Godhead by executing Karma Kanda or Jnana Kanda. This is very clearly mentioned in the purport. So those are not going to be helpful at all for us. Now, further, Srila Prabhupada says, by dedicating one's karma or fruitive result. Now, there are two different things. Dedicating karma as well as second part. And the second is a result. I think maybe I misunderstood here. So, dedicating one's karma is one aspect, as well as dedicating results of the karma. So we'll get to that in a little bit. But here it says, by dedicating one's karma to the Supreme Lord, one may be relieved from polluted mind and become free from mental pollution that help elevate to the spiritual platform. So here we are really now, Srila Prabhupada is referring about the Nishkama Karma Yoga. That is performing karma, that is daily activity, and all the results that we get back, that we offer to Krishna. So that will help us to clean up the anarthas or any mental pollution. That's what here it says. However, one needs the association of pure devotee, and by pure devotee's association, one become pure devotee of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it says, it looks like here it clearly says two-step process. One step is, first, whatever karma we do, offer results to Krishna, and that helps to cleanse your mind, cleanse your heart. But that may not help you to get to become a pure devotee. And that's where it says you need an association of pure devotee. That's where the spiritual master come into picture, or other devotee association come into picture, that will help one to become pure devotee of Lord. Now, with this as a little bit detail about Vedas, and if we go back to our verse, that here it says, now devotee become indifferent to the rituals of the Vedas. Now, here we are really referring to this first two aspects, that is Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. Now, rituals are more related to the Karma Kanda. Now, what is rituals? Rituals is like prescribed I would say prescribed methods of performing certain activity. And sometimes people do rituals without understanding meaning. That is very dangerous too. First thing is performing rituals as per karma kanda. People do that a lot, that we see in our society, maybe in our family too. Like rituals such as people sometimes do fasting on say Navratri. So Navratri is like festival in India where it's a 9-day festival where they worship I think goddess Durga, and it is observed in many parts of India. Sometimes some people observe fast, and of course observing fast is not a wrong thing, but sometimes people just do observe fast. There are two aspects. Sometimes do observe fast to get something back, I mean with some expectation, with something like maybe to have a better better health, better or getting some wealth, or getting rid of some current problem in our life. So there are many. So basically it is driven by some expectation. And the second portion is you do rituals without even understanding the meaning, and that is little dangerous. Meaning I do it because I was told to do it, or I see what is done in my family. And we see that a lot. Even in my case, I can see that even before coming to Krishna consciousness, uh, I used to go to temple, Ganesha temple, and but in my mind, the it was not very clear why we go to Ganesha and do our rituals or do puja every Tuesday, because that's what I have seen in my neighborhood. Like people are doing every Tuesday, and then every celebration we do, we first worship Ganesha. So here the point is, sometimes we do it without even understanding meaning. So that's something uh, also applicable for devotees too, into some level. For example, let's say sometimes we do some activity, say even say chanting initially. Sometimes we do just chanting mechanically, or somebody say, okay, do chanting or do some service. We do some service. Initially, we maybe if someone has not understood the meaning and there is no mood of doing it. For example, let's say there is a service to be done. Let's say I'm doing some service on a regular basis, and when that day comes on say the service is on every Saturday, and then I say on Friday, oh, tomorrow I have to catch up on that service. What should I do? I have another work. That mood, meaning we are looking at service just as a task, just as an obligation. I need to do it. Right. So sometimes this kind of a mood is, sometimes either we forget the why there is a why we are doing that service. What is the relationship when we are performing a service, say for Krishna? Then sometimes we forget the meaning, or forget the mood, forget even though we say we are again, we are in this particular movement, but sometimes we forget. However, devotee association help us to bring it back, right? And that's why devotee association is very important in this, and that's what Srila Prabhupada stressed a lot. So we have to be very careful when whatever act, and Srila Prabhupada, I think this is so important. Srila Prabhupada, when he preach uh, with reasons why we have to do this, what should be our mood, and that everything starts with the fundamental knowledge, that is who I am and what is my relationship. If we don't know who I am, or let's say we don't even know, or we don't even accept, we don't know who I am and what is my relationship, then the other services that we do, even this lecture that is currently I'm speaking, you all are attending, even this service, then it will be very mechanical. Then let's say if I'm doing service of then cutting vegetable, if there is no mood, if I don't know why I'm cutting the vegetable, because someone asked me to, or because I don't have any other any other activity to do at the same time, so let me go and spend some time and just uh, whatever maybe benefit I'll get it, I'll just cut the vegetables, right? So of course you will get some sukruti, but the whole idea is we need to understand the mood and not to perform it as a ritual. That was typically we see the mood of the common people when they perform ritual as per the Vedas, especially Karma Kanda. Okay. Now here Srila Prabhupada mentioned that lives of the great devotees who became indifferent to, how they become indifferent? By devotional service. That's a very critical aspect. So something is causing us thinking something is indifferent. And here I would like to talk about higher test and lower test. Now, when I think in general, when we get a higher test, then we give up activities which are lower test. Right? One good example is um, the hippies. When Srila Prabhupada, when he arrived in US to preach Krishna consciousness, and he was preaching hippies, right? And those are all those are like youth. Uh, I mean, they were looking for a direction in the life, They were from a very good family, some of them, right? But Srila Prabhupada introduced Krishna and devotional service, and they got a higher taste. For that higher taste, they actually abandon the lower taste activity. One good example is also I was speaking to Vajanandani, so she gave me an example of Giriraj Maharaj. Giriraj Maharaj is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. He was from also very rich family, and when he was getting into Krishna consciousness, right? Because he left, because this higher taste drove that he want to get rid of this material world. And even at that time, his parents tried a lot to take him back, to pursue him back, but he was very determined, right? So here the point to be taken is the devotional service to the Lord that actually bring a higher test in our life. And then once you have a higher test, then activities like this, then we become indifferent. In our day-to-day life, let's say we now eat prasadam every day. That is a higher test. So now we now do not like to eat food, say in restaurant, or maybe go to parties which are outside temple or outside congregation. It is possible that we may not be fully there, but I think that transition has already started in all of us who are in this call, and all other devotees. That is one good example, that once we get a higher test. Similarly, once even the services, now COVID situation, we are all like at our home, but in usual scenario, Sunday we always keep it for temple. We do not usually now substitute temple activity with the, say, picnic or the party with some other friends. And even if we go, we don't cherish that. We feel we don't cherish that. So we feel no. So the reason is, so we now becoming indifferent. Indifferent in a positive way. Indifferent that gives us a higher taste, so that we do not engage ourselves into those ritualistic activities or activities which are not Krishna consciousness activities. So although indifferent has a negative meaning from English perspective in general term, I don't care, but from Krishna consciousness perspective, indifferent really works for us. So that we do not, this is what is like. So the devotees, they become indifferent. They no longer experience any taste in performing rituals of Vedas. So now when a person factually understands Krishna and his relationship with Krishna, he naturally become completely indifferent to rituals of fruitive activities, even though an experienced Brahman. What that means? Not just a person, but even Brahman, experienced Brahman. Once they understand who Krishna is, who am I, and my relationship, I think that those are the basic. Because once we understand who am I, what's my relationship, why I am here, I think this we are hearing probably in every lecture. I think Srila Prabhupada stressed this point, I think almost every chapter, most of the verses, because that is the foundation. Because once we understand the relationship, then all these services become very meaningful for us, at least for beginners, right? Then that help us to build the mood in Krishna consciousness. And then as we become indifferent, then what is the outcome? it will slowly help us to get out of the dense forest of delusion. Now, why it is dense and the forest of delusion? So I think we know the forest is dense, and dense meaning here is like a dark, and delusion means, right, we are the conditioned soul thinks that I am the doer and I want to enjoy myself. Any all the activity, especially karma kanda, is something where people take it in a way that it is mentioned in Vedas. We are following Vedas. We will do this karma. We will enjoy, and that's how they they spend their life. But performing, so now the question is, we are performing good karma. What's the problem? We understand bad karma is bad because that there is a suffering. But what about good karma? I'm good, so I don't see a problem. But that's not the case, right? So when you are doing good karma, that is fruitive activities, where you may feel you are doing good for others, but those results what you get, they bind you. For example, when I'm doing philanthropic activity, say constructing an hospital or serving poor, serving say old age homes, etc. Even though externally I'm doing those activities, but somewhere in the heart I'm hankering for the recognition. I'm hankering for the recognition that I should get recognized. That recognition eventually binds, and then we kind of keep repeating it, and we eventually cannot break the repeated cycle of birth and death. And that means we get into that forest of delusion that I am the doer. I think practically we can correlate it easily. But what is we need to understand is, like, when we perform any, first thing is how to get rid of this dense forest of delusion. And here Srila Prabhupada gave, I think, the solution, that is performing devotional service. And we'll see some example too. That is one example that I would like to share is Shukracharya and Bali Maharaj. So Shukracharya is a spiritual master of Bali Maharaj. I think this story you all might have heard many times. So Bali Maharaj become victorious, Bali Maharaj become opulent because he was following instruction of his spiritual master. Now, as you know, Vamandev, he took the form of a Brahman, and then he asked for a boon that give me a land where I can, for 3 foot, right, where he can put 3 foot. So for the third, when there is no, I think when he put 2 feet, everything is occupied, not just earth, but all the lokas up and down. And then finally, Bali Maharaj says, okay, third, you can fit it on my head, but I have a condition that you become, say, guard of my place. And Vamandev agreed. And more important is, before Bali Maharaj agreed to that Brahmanas asked, his Guru Maharaj Shukracharya alerted him. He is not a real Brahmana. He is actually Vishnu. So do not give, do not offer this. However, he didn't listen to his Guru Maharaj, but he gave up all the material opulences. And what the benefit he got? See, he gave up the material opulences. And the benefit he got, even though he eventually ended up into Sutala, which is one of the Patal, but Vamandev, he became the guard. So that's what the benefit he get just by giving up the material opulences, right? So that is one of the, I think, the story here that we can go. So how if we end up giving up material opulences? I know it's hard, but that's where this whole Krishna conscious movement, Srila Prabhupada, come to our life, and he is actually he introduced this 4 regulative principles. simple process, and do chanting, eat prasadam, dance on dance and sing Krishna's glories. Now, sometimes we feel these regulations. These regulations, why regulations? That sometimes people outside Krishna consciousness, they say, "Oh, ISKCON Krishna consciousness is very strict. Yeah, why you have so much tight rules that you should do this, you should not do this." But we need to understand rules are really to improve our Krishna or improve our consciousness. So usually it's a tendency people like, oh, we need something very easy. But here Srila Prabhupada is really looking for the actual advancement. So that's why even though externally people see it's a strict, but these rules are really, I would say that will cause the real improvement and not like the fake improvement in our consciousness. Now here, example of Sri Madhavendra Puri, if you see, here Sri Madhavendra Puri, here it says, "Oh, my praise 3 times a day, all glory to you. O bathing, I offer my obeisances unto you. O demigods, O forefather, please excuse me for my inability." So now here Shri Madhavendra Puri actually, as a devotee, he is exactly that the example is like, now he is becoming indifferent. Instead of worshipping demigods, forefathers, now here it clearly says, wherever I sit, I can remember Krishna. And that thereby I can free myself from the all sinful bondages. Okay, so that is something we need to actually, we can correlate like how worshipping forefathers, worshipping Temi, that we see that is a part of karma kanda. Exactly, this whole verse is about, right? So and we know, right, instead of worshipping, we are not saying don't respect demigod, but instead of worship, rather we should worship Krishna, because Krishna is the root. And when you water the root, automatically branches and leaves and flower, they get their nourishment. But interestingly, you might have seen, like some people, they like gardening, and there are some people who even keep spraying water on the flowers, also on the leaves, right? They may know it or they may not know it, that there is no point in spraying water on the flower, right? But still you see people do it. But more important is we have to just, that's not useful if you just keep spraying water on leaves and flower just for your, you know, mental satisfaction. The real one is where you have to really water the root. And the last paragraph, Vedic rites and rituals are imperative for neophytes. Yeah, so neophytes, that is true, because neophyte mean even if people who don't even know Vedas, doesn't even follow Vedas, right? So their life is more into ignorance. So at least Vedas, that is following those rituals, that will at least bring them to a certain stage, bring that level, right? But that is not our ultimate goal. For neophyte is okay, but eventually, eventually we have to change our consciousness into Krishna. Right? So that's what it says. When one is fully in Krishna consciousness and engaged in the transcendental loving service, one become indifferent to all regulative principles because he has attained perfection. Now this is a higher stage. I mean, so for example, initially the regulative principles that we follow in ISKCON, that we all know, right? 4 regulative principles. But now one become indifferent to the all regulative principle. It doesn't mean he has to stop those regulative principle. The idea is he will, those regulative principles, he doesn't need to, it will automatically be followed by him. So for example, now we do 16 rounds, right? And we always, every day we say, oh, have you done 16 round? Have you done 16 round? We always keep asking this. We always checking with ourselves. Forget about others. Ourselves. Have I done nice chanting? Am I doing it right? Right. But once we reach to this higher stage, maybe the fully in Krishna consciousness, fully means Satatam Kirtayantomam, 24 hours. Then there is no explicitly we need to check, oh, I'm doing it or not. It will automatically. So instead of 16, that stage, we will be probably doing more than 16, 32, 64, whatever it is, like Haridas Thakur. So that's what it means. So if one can reach the platform of understanding by service, not by just knowledge. I think Srila Prabhupada mentioned this a lot, right? So we have to be very, and this is very clear. So service is important. Of course, knowledge you need, but just knowledge will not probably that much faster. Probably it won't help. So you need to apply the knowledge, and that's where the service and the mood in which you do service. We should not do service for the sake of it, just because someone told, right? So we initially we may start it, but we have to slowly and slowly, gradually understand the meaning, understand the mood, who am I, and why I'm doing this service for my own purification. And then if one can reach to this by the service, he has no longer to execute different types of penances. So that is pretty clear. And similarly, if one has not understood the purpose of the Vedas to reach Krishna and simply engage in rituals, then he is uselessly wasting the time. I think this is this particular yeah, I think this is part of, I think 1.5. Let me see if this is here. Correct. So this is verse that I would like to share from Srimad Bhagavatam. Here it talks about whatever your desire to describe that is separate in vision from Lord simply reacts with different forms, names, and results. So what this means, my desire is separate. My consciousness is separate from God's consciousness or from God's desire. That causes agitation in the mind, which is same as wind agitating the boat which has no resting place. So if you see this particular verse here, it clearly says that what we need to do, right? I think coming back to this point, that is, if our vision or if our consciousness, if it is not in sync with Krishna's consciousness or what Krishna wants us to do, then whatever we do is really useless and wasting time. And we know our life is very short. And especially example of the Parikshit Maharaj, right? So Parikshit Maharaj also was engaged earlier in fruitive activities, but by the association of Shukadev Goswami, right, he gave up all those activities. And for those 7 days, right? So at least for Shukadev Parikshit Maharaj, he was aware of the number of days, but for us, we don't know when the death will come. So for us, it's very important that life is short and death can come anytime. Then if we engage, so we have to be very careful about what activities we engage ourselves into. If we engage into activities of karma kanda, then it is basically, and we do not understand the real meaning of it, that is, we have to eventually to reach Krishna, then all the activity is just a waste of time. that will not help to break the cycle of the birth and death, and we will not be able to go back to back home Godhead. So this is where the Krishna is actually guiding Arjun, that when our intelligence passed out means is actually elevating. So now Arjun is actually struggling not to kill his kinsmen, because he see them on a bodily concept level. That's where that the delusion that he's struggling with, friends, teachers, and that's why that Krishna is actually, I think, starting from verse number 39, now we are on 52, where Krishna is now talking about Buddhi Yoga, intelligence, and then with this verse, how when the intelligence is elevated, or our intelligence is Krishna consciousness, then we become indifferent. Indifferent meaning, then we don't get restless for the lower test activities. And in case of Arjuna also, I think once eventually at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, right? So he understand what his real duty is, who he is, his relationship with Krishna. Then that means his intelligence is now elevated from the darkest region or darkest forest of delusion, and then we become indifferent to the lower test activities. And now in this particular example, it says all about Vedas. I think Srila Prabhupada explained this using example of Vedas and ritual activities. I think one other example that I noted down is of Vyasadeva, when he wrote Vedas and he was not satisfied, right? So the key point is we have to start. We have as a devotee, we get satisfaction when we broadcast Krishna's message. But if you are not, then it is just a waste of time. So Vyasadeva, he wrote Vedas, but he was not satisfied. But when his spiritual master Narad Muni, he came, and when he explained that you haven't even broadcasted or glorified the Krishna, and then Vyasadeva, when he wrote the Srimad Bhagavatam, natural commentary, right, on Vedas. It's a Vedanta's natural commentary on Vedanta Sutra, I would say, not Vedas, natural commentary on Vedanta Sutra. And then he got a real satisfaction. Because then if you see, the intelligence has passed out, is elevated, and then we are just that intelligence is nothing but devotional service of Krishna. So I think this is what I have to share I would like to share with you all. I will just do recap quickly, and then we'll open up for any questions or comments. So this particular verse where Bhagavan is talking about intelligence, we talked about forest of delusions, and to understand the forest of delusions, Srila Prabhupada has, I think, explained with taking the example of Vedas and rituals of Vedas. We looked at three parts of the Vedas: Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, and Upasana Kanda. As per Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila verse, we saw that what is recommended and what we should abandon. We should abandon Jnana Kanda and Karma Kanda, and we should accept Upasana Kanda, which is nothing but Bhakti Kanda. And then we see the example of Sri Madhavendra Puri, and the way he is taking the position, that he said, I mean, like offering prayer 3 times a day. These are all described in the Vedas, right? And then worshipping demigods, worshipping forefathers. But Madhavendra Puri is saying, no, now please excuse me for my inability to offer you my respect. Now wherever I sit, I can remember the Krishna. And then we talked about Vedic rites are imperative for neophytes because they will bring to certain stage, and then the next stage is definitely elevate the consciousness and intelligence to next level, that is completely in Krishna consciousness. So that's where Srila Prabhupada mentions fully in Krishna consciousness. And we looked at the example of Bali Maharaj and how he gave up the material opulences and what benefit he got. And we also looked at that is any activity we do, and we have to be very careful. I mean, when we do any activity, if those are not Krishna consciousness, then it's a waste of time. Even in 24 hours a day, what we spend, right? So, but again, it's a journey. We have to do that conscious effort every day. My each activity will be Krishna consciousness. At least we should set that goal, and we should strive for that. And with that said, I would like to stop here. Thank you so much. Please share if you have any realization or any correction also. Thank you.
I have a question, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
So the ritualistic activities are really not needed. And when you understand that Krishna is the goal of all Vedic rituals and sacrifices, how do you deal with like your family doing all these ritualistic activities and expects you to kind of join in it?
I would answer this question. I think last Sunday, I think Jagannath Priya Prabhuji, I think he was in his one of his I think probably he mentioned this point little bit, I think.
Yeah,
So
I
what
think he did, didn't he?
Yeah. So what he said,
He said,
you do not necessarily need to, disrespect or get into argument, feel them bad. Oh, I'm doing Krishna consciousness, which is much better than what you're doing, and you have to change it to Krishna consciousness tomorrow. Stop doing so. He said, no, we don't need to. So probably what we need to do is, I mean, uh, if they are there, if family is asking us to, let's say, participate in, I'm taking example, say Ganesha Puja, then we don't want to get into argument and let them become more like inimical towards our Krishna consciousness. At least for that moment, we can definitely participate in Ganesh Puja. Of course, we respect Ganesh, and so that's what he said. That's what I remember. That we it's like a balance, striking the balance with the family. Yes, but how I have also learned. I think I don't know who in which lecture. Like in family, usually others learn by what other one is doing. So let's say if other person is doing Ganesh Puja, and let's say if we are doing say Krishna Puja or Krishna consciousness sincerely, then
on an
probably
everyday basis, yeah,
that will probably bring change. Maybe not tomorrow, but slowly. But it all depends on how consistently and how pure we are in
Right.
Krishna. Yeah.
Good
And it is
answer.
hard.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, Mataji, I think another angle is, I have heard in one of the lecture, like, I know sometimes we have to sit in some puja of other demigod.
I know. You have to actually sit in it.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I understand. But I think what they were saying, if you have to do involved in the puja of Ganesh, so you have to basically think of Lord Narasimha because Ganesh gets,
not even Ganesh, Janandini, like for example, Satyanarayana Puja.
Yeah.
The Hindu priests at the Hindu temple, they do every deity puja. They do Ganesh Puja, they do Lakshmi Puja, they do Navagraha Puja, they do Shiv Puja, they do like about 8 or 10 pujas before even Satyanarayana comes into the picture.
Right. No, I
And you
agree.
have to sit through all that, saying all those 100 names of every single deity, from A to Z,
Right.
Uh,
No, that's true.
some it's different when you're at least going to one of those things with your friend, but when you yourself have to sit through it, it's very kind of, you have to chant, to chant all those deities, but you're right, you can think of Krishna every time
What
you're
else we could do
chanting
if we
those
are in that
names.
situation, right? If we are in that forcible situation, what else we can do, right? And I
Yeah.
think one of the other thing for the Bali Maharaj, I think Bali Maharaj was mainly glorified because he gave up everything, right? And that's how even the Lord was so pleased with his service, and that's how he became a gatekeeper, right? In the Bali Maharaj story, he is one of the Mahajan.
Mhm, mhm.
And
Yes.
that's mainly because he gave up everything. He was ready to give up everything, even if he knows
Yeah,
it, basically.
I mean, I don't think we are in the position of Bali Maharaj giving up
Right.
everything.
That's why he was the Mahajan, and he was glorified mainly because he gave up everything for the Lord, pleasure of the Lord.
Right,
With,
right.
yeah.
But I think, like Madhavkanta Prabhu said, we can still dovetail. We know it's kind of like apad dharma, right? That we have to, like, we can't disrespect, and that makes it look like as if you are holier than thou, and you can't show that attitude.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Especially, I think in the family, they don't like, right? They will think, okay, you know more than us.
Yeah. No, Pyari Prabhu long time ago said that whenever you see the demigods and you're in a position, you pray to the demigods to increase your love for Krishna and your service for Krishna. And I remember that always. So especially when you go to India, you cannot avoid going to these temples with family members. And that's what I always remembered. I prayed to them sincerely, but I said, please increase my love for Krishna and please help me do sincere service and advance in Krishna consciousness. So you pray to the demigods, but you pray to give you love of Krishna, and they will give you love of Krishna. They have that power to advance you in Krishna, like Lord Shiva or whichever temple you go to. You pray for Krishna to the demigods, and that's
So
okay.
Devi Priya,
Like
praying,
the
I was
gopi
not,
prayer,
that
like
we all
the
understand.
gopis
That's a little,
offering prayer to Katyayani, goddess Katyayani. No, but even
right.
when we sit in the demigod pujas, silently we can pray to the demigods. Do that. Who is
No,
going to know
but
what is going on in your mind?
we can't, because the priest is chanting the mantra and making you chant the mantra also. So you have to say the 100 names of Lakshmi, you have to say the 100 names of Ganesha, you have to say the 100 names of whatever deity he's worshipping. So you have to continuously chant all the demigod names in that puja.
Yes, but you can chant, you can divert that chanting towards whatever your mental goal is.
Yeah,
And
I
your
mean, you
goal is to
can,
love
as
Krishna.
you are,
So
as
mentally,
you're
if you do
saying
that,
all
how
those
can the priest know what is going on in your mind? They can't
yeah, I
control
mean,
your
as you're
mind.
doing the demigod names, yeah, you can say, please, the demigod, whoever I'm worshipping, please give me greater bhakti of Krishna. You can think like that, yes.
Yeah, to have a thought like that, how long does it take? You can pray and do whatever they're asking you to do, but divert that prayer towards the whatever your motive, your goal is, and that solves the problem.
And another thing that the Hindu temple priests make you do, you have to invite like one brahmana of one family, one couple, and then you have to wash their feet. But this couple, you don't know whether they are really devotee couple or not, you know what I'm saying? And that is also hard. What can you do? Sometimes you're stuck, doing these things.
Well, if you know beforehand who they're asking you to do that, you invite somebody who's genuine, or invite a devotee to that
How
thing, and
can I
wash
invite?
the
No,
couple, the devotee
my
couples.
husband might invite somebody he wants to invite. I don't have a choice as to inviting a devotee couple. And then you're stuck washing the feet of somebody you really don't, are not in that position.
Mataji, shall I have few comments. Is that okay if I add?
Sure, please.
Yeah, it's like, whoever it is, right? Everyone is divine from heart.
Yeah, I thought
So
exactly
just,
what you're thinking, Sunita.
yeah, that's all. Just, it
Yeah,
doesn't matter if they are
yeah,
devotee or not. Might be
yeah,
by either this
yeah. They
thing,
have
by you
Paramatma in
washing
their
the
heart.
feet,
Yes,
yeah, by you washing the feet, might be they will change into Krishna. They will also become a devotee of Krishna. Who knows?
yes, and I can also think that they have Paramatma in their heart, and with that
Yes,
thought,
Mataji,
I
every
can
soul
wash
is
their
a
feet. Yes.
Paramatma. Yeah, we don't know what their pastimes or what it is, what situation
Yeah.
they are in, right? But for
Mhm.
us, at least, thank God, like by God's grace, we at least fall into this track. I mean, I'm not telling we are 100%, but at least by God's grace, we fall into this track. So hopefully, whoever we are washing, we should pray for them that they're going to also get this divine, the spiritual path, and we just wash thinking we are washing Krishna's feet, and that's it we can do. Like, it doesn't matter who is in front, or priest or kid or elder or whoever it is. I mean,
No,
that's
I
my opinion.
agree. Yeah, we should have that Samadarshina, right? So
Samadarshana. That's what I
Yeah,
was coming to
yeah.
actually.
Samadarshina.
5.18.
I
I
don't
was
know
also
those
trying
words,
to
Mataji, but
think in my mind, how can I
Yes.
reconcile this? But I did think that I could think that there's Paramatma in their heart too,
yeah,
and I
everyone
can
has
see them as
Paramatma.
Samadarshina. Yes, yeah,
Samadarshana.
Even in morning, Jiva Mataji was telling, right? Someone has stolen the beads and all those things.
right,
Even
right.
in the office, I was thinking, might be, Krishna want that thief to get a chance in this way, because Jiva Mataji might have prayed with those beads for, like, with so pure heart.
Right.
Might be one more soul is getting liberated, right? I was thinking of
Liberated.
the
Yes.
classes also done. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, some fortunate soul. Yeah.
Yeah. You never
No,
know,
very
like,
good point,
who touches
Sunita. Thank
whose
you.
heart.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji. Very nice point. I think, and you're right, Mataji, Gita Mama, that Samadarshina really reconcile this, to be honest.
I don't know the meaning of that, Prabhu.
No, Mataji, it
But
is in Bhagavad Gita, chapter
okay,
5,
Verse, yeah.
18 verse.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Vidya Vinaya Sampane
Vidya
Brahmane
Vinaya Sam.
Garihastine
Yeah.
Okay,
Guni
what
Chaitanya
does it mean?
Swabhakesha Pandita Samadarshana. My Guru Maharaj says that so many times. I haven't learned
Okay.
it just by listening to him. It has
So,
come
Mataji,
out.
I can read that translation for
Yeah,
you. It
please.
says,
Yeah.
the humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahman, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and dog eater, outcast. Meaning, one's humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, their vision is equal to everyone. They don't differentiate whether he is a Brahman, is a dog, dog eater. Dog eater means like a chandal. The
Hmm.
cow, the elephant. So no differentiation whether it's a human or it's an animal or it's a dog eater.
Yeah, it
So
doesn't matter.
equal vision, equal treatment. There is
Okay.
By that
Okay,
standard,
Prabhu,
Sunita,
got
I
it.
can definitely consider two couples, human couples, as Samadarshina.
Yes, Mataji, yes. Now I know the meaning of word as Samadharshana. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. You gave me some clarity. Thank you, Madhukata. Good class.
Thank you, Mataji. All right, we can now stop here. We'll pray the verse for the Bhaktarunda. That is Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa
Rubhyasya
Sindhubhya Evacha
Kripasindocha
Patitanam
Patitanam
Pavanebhyo
Pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo Namo
Vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
Namaha.
Namo
Namaha.
Srila Prabhupada
Puranta
ki,
Vishnu Ki
Jai
Jai,
Yeah.
Anta
Ki
Koti
Jai
Vaishnavanda Ki
Vaishnavrinda
Jai,
ki, Jai.
Yeah.
Madhav Kanta Prabhu Ki Jai.
Ki Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we having questions or no more questions? Rasraj Prabhu?
Oh, I forgot that. I don't know, Rasraj.
No?
I think he's too
Okay.
busy lately.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
everyone.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Raga Sindhu Prabhu, are you there?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Tanaswaran Jai
Yes.
Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna,
Yes,
Prabhu.
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, can you just stop the live meeting? I just
Oh, okay. Prabhuji, I just made you the host. 1 second.
okay.
Oh, I'm not able to.
I mean, you made me host back.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, let me see that.